There are 20.9 million victims of human trafficking around the world. The average age of a sex trafficking victim is first sold at 13 years old. The FBI identified the Twin Cities as one of the 13 U.S. cities with a particularly high incidence rate of child prostitution. And in 2015, Minnesota had the third highest number of human trafficking cases. Many may be confused about the difference between prostitution and sex trafficking. Prostitution is a sex worker willing to engage in commercial sex, while sex trafficking involves force, fraud, or deceit and coercion. What is the general demographic for those who are trafficked?
Some national research tells us that males are trafficked at equal rates as females, and in some areas they're trafficked more often. But we don't have a definitive set of numbers for that. And in Minnesota, we certainly don't. But our grantees who actually work with the trafficking victims are working with boys and young men.
There have been many studies and statistics on who have been or are potentially at risk in being a sex trafficking victim. One group in particular that has been at great risk are the Native American women. Other groups would include the LGBTQ+, children and women, those with disabilities both physical and cognitive, minorities, economic statuses, being in poverty or homeless, and foster children. Sex trafficking cases don't often go reported because the traffickers instill fear in their victims. They use threatening violence or actual violence to scare them. For foreign victims, traffickers use the threat of deportation or even blackmail to stop them from reaching authorities and seeking help. Sex traffickers recruit their victims by using their manipulation skills. They spot and target the vulnerable, the weak, and those who can't protect themselves. Some places where they go to recruit their victims are group homes, foster homes, malls, school dances, libraries, parks, and other social events. But more commonly, they recruit people online, on the internet. How does sex trafficking impact victims? They can impact the victims emotionally, physically, spiritually, and psychologically. Victims of sex trafficking often experience harsh physical impacts due to excessive work or the use of force by their traffickers. Several studies indicate high levels of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, in former sex trafficked victims. Trafficked victims are often isolated from their social circles, leaving individuals unable to engage socially or reach out for help.
In terms of how they cope, they could cope by using drugs to self-medicate and numb the pain. They might be cutters, people who do self-harm as a way to cope. They might just, dissociate and kind of just go through the motions and not think about it, if you will, or pretend that they don't think about it or that it's not a big deal. But it takes a great deal. It takes a toll on people who are involved.
What do you think people need to understand about this industry?
That it's everywhere.
A recent Wilder research report confirmed that sex trafficking occurs in all regions of the state. 36% of victims were being served in the Twin Cities metro area, and 64% of the victims were receiving services through an agency in Greater Minnesota. In the Twin Cities metro area alone, there are many places where sex traffickers go to recruit their victims, as well as many places where they do transactions for these victims.
One of the biggest things is for people in Minnesota to know that it happens everywhere in Minnesota. There's not any place that isn't affected by sexual exploitation, and that it's hidden, and that we need to care about it because children and youth should not be victims of this crime. It's a terrible, terrible crime. A couple of things came out of that report that are really important. One is that youth need to understand, children and youth need to know what a healthy relationship is. Education on what is a healthy relationship and what is not a healthy relationship, and having children and youth understand that they get to set boundaries.
Other ways to prevent sex trafficking are healthy sexuality, how to protect yourself no matter what gender you are, proper and wholesome sex education, and making sure that the youth and children are safe. Reduce the demand. It is not okay to purchase people for sex, especially children. Some of the ways Paula Schaefer recommends are bringing awareness to your community. Let people know no matter what neighborhood you're in that sex trafficking happens. Make sure that there are safe places for the youth to go to, but educate your friends, your peers, your teachers, and everyone.
They shouldn't try to, quote unquote, rescue these youth who they think might be trafficked. That really should be up to the experts. So I would say they can donate to these organizations that are helping these youth so that they can get more funding to provide more services. So if children tell us that, or if you say, oh, that person gives me the creeps, or I'm not going over there, then we need to pay attention to that.